League of Legends esports article. As the strongest king of S6 Ionia, Lin Yi obtained all the strength of the S9 peak Uzi in a surprise landing one day, and also unlocked the divine level ability to predict any operation in the next second. Let's see what he interprets as the true AD carry with his career. Ultimate matchmaking ability, ignoring any combination, with an advantage from the beginning. Horrorful team battle moves, passing through a myriad of flowers without getting wet. Diagonal monster, damage king, is a fan evaluation of him. And how did he join the professional team and walk step by step to the end? Please move to the main text. Keywords of the novel. Do you understand the value of AD carry? No pop-ups. Do you understand the value of AD carry? Download the complete set. Do you understand the value of AD carry? Latest chapters to read. Chapter 1. I beat myself. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. I beat myself. Huagua Douyu Live Platform, a live broadcast room of a League of Legends. Lin Yi pressed the prominent victory button on the screen with his mouse and immediately breathed a long sigh of relief. The first one, won smoothly. Seeing his score rise from 407 to 443, Lin Yi couldn't help but feel a little happy. It seems like today is a good day to score. Thank you, Wayne, for helping the Anchor win their first game. The Anchor is a believer in mysticism. No wonder yesterday when I lost the first game, I downloaded it directly. It turned out that I was afraid of being a bad guy watching the scattered barrage of bullets drifting through the public screen. Lin Yi happily clicked on the queue again, ready to take advantage of his good luck to rearrange it. The score of 443 is not really high, and looking at the Chinese server, it can only rank 123rd. This is still due to the beginning of the season. The new S6 season was updated on February 1st, and it has only been 2 months so far. The score gap between the strongest kings has not yet widened. If it were to be placed in the middle of the season, the score of 443 would inevitably fall into the category of extraordinary masters. Don't you see that the top-ranked Dopa has already scored 1,000 points, moving towards the 1100 win point, and the speed of scoring has left Lin Yi amazed. It can only be described in 4 words, it's terrifying. Lin Yi considers himself an ordinary person without any outstanding talents, and can only struggle in the low-scoring king. He has also gone to professional teams for trial training, but the result is obvious that he cannot even get into youth training. He, who only knows how to play games, couldn't find any job and had to come to Douyu to start a live broadcast, playing the game of king, hoping to accumulate fans and fame through high-end ranking. Fortunately, the number of people in the high-end live broadcast of the Douyu League of Legends segment was relatively small, and soon a group of followers emerged in Lin Yi's live broadcast room. To be honest, the value of S6 Ionia's strongest king is still very high. In this era of mocking a district of river crabs fighting against suburban dragons, the title of Electric King has been sought after by countless people. It should be noted that although there are over 1 million players in the district, there are only 200 spots for the strongest king, and the difficulty is unimaginable. Lin Yi's score is not very high, and coupled with the fact that all the anchors at the beginning of the season are scoring, the game quickly ranked among the other 9 players and entered the room within a few seconds. At present, the Chinese server has been updated to pre-selection mode, and players no longer need to type for location when entering the room as before. Lin Yi felt relieved when he saw that he was still in the AD position, secretly grateful that he had not been replaced, while his gaze turned to the IDs of other teammates. It is worth mentioning that the group of Chinese server kings basically know each other, with 200 people lining up every day, indicating that they may become opponents if they become teammates. This situation is very common. The anchor is lucky, this one is all for their own position, ranked on the pony list. This is currently one of the top 10 Chinese servers. I heard he seems to have broken through the top spot again. Battle Flag TV, Xiaozhuang. Is this the legendary leopard girl? Tearing heaven. Hahaha, isn't this my bun? Who is the assistant? Duan. I haven't heard of it before. VG assistant, don't you even know this? I used to be Uzi's official assistant for a while before, and Uzi even said he played very well. The barrage in the live broadcast room, which originally had no floating screens, suddenly increased. It was obvious that this extremely high-quality match had exploded into a group of water enthusiasts silently diving to watch the live broadcast. Suddenly, someone is typing on the public screen in the game. Panda and Pony AAA. Do you have a brother? Point 3. Across from Uzi, proficient in scouting the enemy situation at the beginning, he quickly discovered that Uzi was on the opposite side. As he had just passed the second of his turn, he had to type for help from his teammates. Seeing this, Lin Yi widened his pupils and said, "Can't it be so unlucky?" Without giving up, use your phone to open the national TV platform and search for Uzi's live broadcast room. Upon clicking in and taking a look, my heart immediately turned to ashes. The game screen captured on the screen is currently in the BP interface, and the disabled heroes are exactly the same as his side. Feeling the host's fighting spirit withering, the peak system is officially launched. Hello host, our system is dedicated to serving you. Please choose one of the following 5 options. 1. Obtain the full strength of the peak the shy, S8.S9, 2. Obtain all the strength of peak clear love, S5.S6, 3. Obtain all the strength of peak faker, S5, 4. Obtain all the strength of the peak Uzi, S8.S9, 5. Obtain all the strength of the peak Miko, S11. Lin Yi looked at the virtual screen that suddenly appeared in front of him, and his pupils were about to overflow with shock. Wow, high-end technology, this kind of virtual screen has only been seen in movies. The anchor won't be scared silly by Uzi, will he? Danmu looked at Lin Yi foolishly staring ahead and immediately joked. Lin Yi has no time to talk to them at this moment. Looking carefully at the 5 options in front of him, Lin Yi felt a bit confused. The peak the shy. I haven't heard of him, but it says S8.S9. Is it possible that he is a future rookie professional player? And clear love, faker, Uzi, Miko are naturally thunderous. What should I do? I'm so tempted, I want everything. Lin Yi is somewhat shameless, and adults naturally do not want to do multiple choice questions. The host can only select one of their abilities as their own. In addition, the system kindly reminds that these 5 options all have hidden attributes, and each option is different. Please choose carefully. Cannot change after selection is completed. The cold sound of machines echoed in Lin Yi's mind. Upon hearing this, Lin Yi-chang took a deep breath and could only choose one option, without a doubt. I choose 4 to obtain all the strength of the peak Uzi. Lin Yi felt a bit uncontrollable excitement in his heart, and couldn't help but feel that this was Uzi. When he first entered the AD position, to be honest, it was because he saw Uzi's game and liked his ultimate operation of dancing at the tip of the knife. Ding, congratulations to the host. Get all the strength of the S9 peak Uzi and unlock hidden attributes. 1. Divine Eye. Able to see through any actions that occur within the next 1 second, only valid within League of Legends. 2. Invincible matchups. With the assistance of S. level or above, all matchups can be ignored on the down road, and matchups are the advantage. Ability distribution completed, system tasks completed. Wishing the host the summit of the alliance and the system a permanent slumber, the sound of the machine gradually faded away, and Lin Yi suddenly felt a huge energy burst in his mind, and then instantly poured into his limbs, as if it had become a part of his body. His eyes showed a surprised expression. Is this the pinnacle of Uzi? Feeling his current understanding of the AD position, Lin Yi suddenly realized that compared to his current self, his previous self was like a gap between a child and a giant, and his strength was simply insurmountable. Even Uzi now cannot be my opponent, can he? Lin Yi muttered to himself, suddenly eager to try how strong he was now. Fingers were typing rapidly on the keyboard. Don't worry, this one can win. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Peak Duel, Ultimate Pull. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Peak Duel, Ultimate Pull. The game was ultimately launched under the persuasion of Lin Yi's 3-inch eloquence. This puts him in the blue side. On the top lane, hitting the wild leopard girl, on the middle lane, and on the bottom lane, it's easy plus karma. And the red side's lineup includes up single swordsman, fighting wild blind monks, middle little fish man, and down Uzi's Callista plus Hammerstone. Entering the game loading interface, the outer edges of the 10 heroes all display the rank borders obtained by the player during the settlement of the previous season. The 9 all.in.1 strongest king borders are very cool, all in golden yellow, with 2 corners extending outward from the top of the borders, giving it a domineering look. Only Callista, the hero, is a golden box, and it is worth mentioning that since he usually trains in the Korean server, Uzi's national server rank was only golden at the end of last season. The game of 9 kings plus 1 gold is not reasonable at all, but due to the high hidden score of Uzi's account, even teammates and opponents who hold the gold box are still ranked in the king's rank. Lin Yi did not pay much attention to the comical aspects on the border of the rank, but instead focused his attention on the opponent's ID. The player ID of the top single Jianji is named Last Qianshan. This is the first player in the S6 season to compete with the strongest king in the Chinese server, and he gained great fame as a result, instantly becoming popular in the live broadcast room. Blind monk player Lin Yi is not very familiar, probably because he did not start live streaming, his fame is not very high. On the other hand, the opponent's single player Xia Yuran is the mango fish, known as the #1 fish man in the Chinese server. Lin Yi has been ranked with him many times, and even though he has seen countless top-notch operations, he has to admit that this player's fish man can indeed be considered the #1 fish man in the Chinese server. One-hand pulling can only be described in one word. Beauty. I have carried him many times before. Callista is a Uzi operator, and the auxiliary hammer stone is also a high-scoring hammer stone skill player. Starting the game, 5 blue heroes appear in their own spring water. Lin Yi controlled easy to purchase outdoor gear, then quickly left the highland and went to the river station. At this point, everyone's conversation had already exploded. Duan. Crazy dog. Why did you run to the other side? The two of them had been in double rows for a while before and were quite familiar with each other, so they quickly started joking. Crazy dog. Look at me, I'll kill you with this one, Duan. At the beginning of our AD, we said we wanted you to re-experience the strength of the Chinese AD server. Crazy dog. Seeing Duan Deliang selling himself like this, Lin Yi smiled and quickly tapped the keyboard with his fingers. Uzi, I am your 10-year-old fan with the nickname N-City Uzi. At this time, the live broadcast room of Uzi, a popular TV platform, was already filled with barrage by 666. Uzi in N-City is also too funny. A burst of laughter came from the live broadcast room without a camera. But this person is quite interesting. Hey, not to mention playing Korean server too much, it's good to come back and play Chinese server too, brothers. Uzi went out while operating his skateboard shoes, chatting with the water enthusiasts in the live broadcast room. Easy across from him is also a broadcaster. Uzi keenly captured a barrage of information and immediately spoke up. Then I need to be more serious, and I will also assist him in a short section. It just happens to test the strength of this N-City Uzi, brothers. Both sides of the first-level team stand in a straight-line snake formation to prevent each other from entering their own wilderness and causing trouble. 1 minute and 40 seconds for the wild monster to refresh. This version of the buff also comes with 2 young sons, and a family of 3 is neat and tidy. Lin Yi used Easy to help his family with wild games, and after a few casual A's, he went straight online. In this version, Leopard Woman can be described as a son of a fist, and the speed of wild games is outrageous, so she doesn't need too much help from a duo at all. Blue Fong Xia Lu went online ahead of schedule. First, he made 2 advance moves on the minions, and then Easy controlled his body to shake wildly left and right in place. Yuzai also brought the Hammer Stone online, and the first 3 soldiers were both safe and sound, each with their own tail knives. Soon, Easy and Carlista's number of replacements reached 3.3. At the moment when 3 melee minions were added, Yuzai's body pressed forward, and he stood in a quadrilateral position on the way down. At this time, he was facing Easy, and Kalma was separated from him by 3 ranged minions, so he couldn't consume him at all. Naturally, with his temperament, he would definitely go up and touch this Easy a few times to level A. Firstly, 2 spears were inserted into one of the ranged minions, with their body sliding towards Easy, in order to cooperate with the remaining health minion A to Easy, and then the spear was pulled to consume health. This is also the basic operation of every top skateboarding shoe. What only furrowed his brow was that Easy fired a Q skill spell towards the landing point of his displacement as he slid forward under the second move of A's minion. The landing point he found is very essence, not just blindly crossing the military line to consume, but moving sideways towards the direction of the river. The advantage of doing so is that it can be far away from Karma and close to Easy. In his idea, choosing the landing point here not only avoids Karma RQ from consuming himself, but also allows him to A to Easy. Even if the AD reaction on the opposite side quickly turns A to him, it doesn't matter. He also has the E skill to draw spears, and after A to Easy, he shifts back, making it difficult for Izeriel's Q skill to hit him. With 1 move and 2 moves, he earns a lot of health. This is a perfect script. However, the current situation seems to be out of his control. Lin Yi first used a secret technique to shoot a skateboard shoe that hit the displacement landing point, and then quickly turned around. Yuzai suddenly realized that after he slid over, they couldn't reach Easy anymore, and could only eat the mute loss of this Q skill. Once again, a soldier prepared to jump back. He had already broken the quadrilateral stance first, and Karma was eager to move. If Duan Deliang took 2 more steps forward, the blue side would instantly form a 2v1 situation. He was already famous for his alignment, and naturally knew this truth well. Lin Yi foresaw that Yuzai was preparing for a soldier to move back, and in an instant, he turned his head back and hit a flat on his skateboard shoes. Uzi's reaction was not particularly fast. In the moment when Easy turned his head, he changed his attack target, moved his mouse towards Easy, and their flat A was almost simultaneously thrown out. As a spear landed on Lin Yi, accompanied by the sound of the spear being torn apart, Easy's health decreased slightly again. The skateboard shoes also shifted back through this flat A, and the 4 of them once again formed parallel quadrilateral positions. This person is a master. Yuzai's expression was no longer relaxed at the beginning, and his face even became somewhat solemn. There were some masters among the audience in his live broadcast room, but ordinary people couldn't understand the game between the 2 just now. If it weren't for his quick reaction, he would have been pulled by this Easy just now. To be honest, after playing his profession for so many years, few people can take advantage of him online. What really made him feel the pressure of the match was probably only SKT's Pig giving up in S3. However, his strength was not fully mature at that time. After all, the domestic league was scattered and there was no mature training system. Apart from him, even the imp match at the S4 World Championship was suppressed by him. If Yuzai is surprised, then Lin Yi's mood at this moment can only be described as shocking. His predictive ability clearly saw that Yuzai was a flat A soldier, but in the moment he turned around, the flat A of his skateboard shoes flew towards him. In less than a second, Yuzai relied on his strong reaction speed to forcibly change his attack target. Is this Yuzai? It's truly terrifying. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Q skills with 100 strikes and 100 strikes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Q Skills with 100 Strikes and 100 Strikes. When Lin Yi was shocked by Uzi's peak reaction, he also deeply understood that the ability to predict any operation in the next second does not mean invincibility. This world never lacks geniuses, and League of Legends, as a current phenomenon-level game, can be said to embody the vast majority of talented players in the world, with countless players responding in milliseconds. There must be more than just Uzi who can forcefully change their operations within a second. This made Lin Yi's pressure even heavier, and he couldn't slack off at all in the future. God gave him such a powerful ability. If he couldn't fully utilize it, it would be better to find a piece of tofu to kill him. The alignment is still ongoing, as the skateboard shoes have already hit the minions several times before, while Lin Yi's attack is entirely on Callista. Duan Deliang is well aware of the importance of grabbing the second rank, and he is not in a hurry to find a consumption opportunity. First, he throws his Q skill, which has not been enhanced by a major move, towards the three small soldiers in the back row, reducing their health. Hammer Stone learned the E skill at level 1, and at this time, they dare not cross the line and can only continuously level the A minion to push the line. The second wave of troops is coming soon, and Uzi is still not giving up, frantically probing Easy's operation. He still doesn't believe that anyone can predict the landing point of the skateboard shoe's flat A displacement with 100% accuracy. And Lin Yi is not ambiguous, controlling Easy to always be in a subtle position. If Uzi wants A to reach him, he must move forward to the red side soldier. Uzi certainly did this, his personality is like this. It's impossible to develop peacefully with you online, and he's constantly looking for opportunities to consume health and suppress it. But what infuriated him was that this Easy's Q skill was really like opening up self-aiming, and every time he slid forward to level A, he could accurately predict his landing point. As is well known, the flat landing point of skateboarding shoes cannot be changed. As long as you choose a direction, it will inevitably shift a fixed distance in that direction. Sleeping slot, this Easy's Q is so accurate. Uzi was a bit restless, and it was the first time he had this feeling of being suppressed while playing a line dominance hero like Callista. Having taken 3 consecutive secret skill shots, Uzi had some doubts about life. This Easy couldn't help but remind him of the Wayne in S3, the cunning piercing soldier Q. The barrage in the Uzi live broadcast room has already caused a huge uproar. This Easy looks like a script, really has a 100% hit rate, right? And every time it predicts the position of the skateboard shoes after displacement, to be reasonable, let Uzi play Easy on his own without such accuracy, right? It's definitely a script. Who can a normal person do it? It's not just script, brothers, Uzi said repeatedly, making him more honest and no longer crossing the military line to consume. They are live streaming, how could it be a script? My attack speed is too slow now. When I go back and produce an attack speed shoe, it will be difficult for him to predict. On the other hand, the Lin Yi live broadcast room has already flooded with a large number of Uzi fans, causing the once withered public screen to be filled with dense barrage of bullets. The anchor actually pushed Uzi on the line and became a fan. Is this the Uzi of N City? It's so strong, and the water enthusiast, who was originally in Lin Yi's live broadcast room, looked at the prosperous live broadcast room at this moment and suddenly felt a burst of tears in his eyes, inexplicably rising from his heart with a sense of pride. They are well aware that after today, this live broadcast room named MRY will definitely have a huge surge in popularity. Uzi plays this game extremely seriously, and his regular rank is nothing more than a tool to maintain his competitive state. There are few games that can arouse his desire to win or lose. As a world-class AD player, he rarely encounters opponents who make him feel pressured in regular qualifying matches, which undoubtedly makes him put aside his casual temperament. The combination of Easy and Karma is too flexible, and this person's Q is too accurate. Even if they hit the opponent first, they may not be able to pass. As a last resort, Uzi had to retreat and give up the line rights. However, this was also something he was happy to see. Just now, the blind monk on his side had already signaled that he would come directly to catch after brushing the red card. Coincidentally, he had just released the line to cooperate with the wild fight. When the blind man rushed down from the upper half, the fourth wave of soldiers had already gathered, and under Uzi's deliberate control, the soldiers were stuck in front of the red tower. Don't miss any flaws in the hammer stone. Uzi, who was repairing his sword under the tower, felt a little anxious. You're walking so aggressively, afraid that others won't know you've come to the wilderness. Not to mention that the opponent's assistant is still a profession, even for a normal king-level player. Seeing a hammer stone who is usually careful and cautious when walking suddenly becomes restless. Even if they have no vision, they know that the enemy has hit the field in place. But at this moment, it's clearly not the time to get caught up in this. Easy and Karma have already noticed something unusual and are retreating, and Uzi is also very helpless. This wave must be forced on, otherwise it will be too out of rhythm. Our home field is specially coming down from the upper half of the field. If no one was caught in this wave, then half of the jungle would have been wasted. The blind monk was facing the leopard woman, who should have entered the blind wilderness area at level 2. However, due to the fact that the red side was Uzi, Xiaozhuang believed that the next line would be pushed, so he naturally gave up the plan to invade the wilderness area at level 2 at the beginning. Unexpectedly, he ran to the upper half of the field and realized that his side was actually pressing Uzi down the road. Even if I regret it, I didn't turn my head when I arched. Besides, it's too late to go now. I can only finish my own upper half of the wilderness before heading to the enemy's wilderness to cause trouble. This version of Leopard Woman's wild game speed is not only one level faster than that of Blind Monk, let alone Xiaozhuang, who is still a Leopard Woman's skilled brother. He is very confident that when he finishes all the wild monsters and rushes to the enemy's wild area, Blind Monk will definitely not finish it. He was just not aware that at this point, the blind man had already given up the 2 sets of fields in the upper field and instead ran down the road. The marker point is on Easy, who has a slightly slower reaction. Although Lin Yi inherits all the strength of Peak Uzi, he still has a slight lack of experience. He relies on his own E to have flashes and does not pay special attention to the movement of Hammerstone. It wasn't until Duan Deliang controlled Karma to send him several retreat signals that he realized and quickly retreated. Hammerstone naturally saw the message of the other party's retreat and no longer hesitated. He flashed E towards Easy. However, his intention had long been seen through by Lin Yi. After anticipating the operation of Hammerstone, Easy remained calm. First, he killed a small soldier at the maximum distance Q to elevate himself to level 3 with Karma, and then surrendered his E skill and left. The two of them fled towards the blue defense tower near the line grass, trying to stay as far away from the blind monk as possible. Lin Yi marked himself on the road, indicating that Karma was fighting back. At this moment, the blind monk had just walked out of the downstream river grass, and Uzi's Callista was still some distance away from them, so it was not enough to output to the two of them for the first time. Duan Deliang saw that his 2 players were promoted to level 3, while Uzi and Hammerstone are currently only level 2 due to being pushed to the line. It does meet the conditions for counterattack, but he doesn't understand how this wave can cause a kill. If we continue to pull it all the way, at most it will be a flashback between each other, and it is estimated that it will be difficult for either side to produce a head. Go eat the hook. Lin Yi succinctly typed these 3 words on the keyboard with his fingers flying fast. Perhaps it was due to Lin Yi's bold and ambitious words at the beginning, or his strong ability to match during the match, that Duan Deliang involuntarily followed what he had said. Karma pretended to turn around and cue the pursuing hammer stone, selling a loophole, and then saw that the hammer stone fired a death judgment and immediately hit Duan Deliang. Seeing this scene, Uzi, who was on his way, inexplicably began to feel uneasy. Duan Deliang's reaction was clear to him that he shouldn't even be able to eat this kind of cue with flashes on his body. But seeing that the hammer stone had already triggered the second Q and followed it, the ignition had already been suspended, and the blind monk also touched his eyes and prepared to Q towards Karma, he immediately handed over his flash and pulled in the distance, ready to output. The operation of the blind monk, Lin Yi, had already foreseen and blocked the heavenly sound wave with his body in advance. Then widened the distance with Duan Deliang to prevent the blind man from following and taking 2 photos. The easy attack speed, which remained passive for 5 layers, was extremely fast. The Q skill was interspersed with a flat A, constantly attacking the hammer stone. However, when Karma saw the flashing output of his skateboard shoes, he did not panic and flickered. Instead, he set up an E skill for himself, lit it and hung it on the hammer stone, trying to block Karista's flat A output as much as possible, and handed over RW to give himself a bite of health. His body quickly pulled back. In no time, the chain that was connected between the two directly broke. Duan Deliang had no choice, he didn't dare to gamble. If he wanted to maintain W and hold on to the hammer stone, he would probably be directly killed by Callista's spear before the imprisonment took effect. If he died first and Easy didn't kill the hammer stone, then this wave would be too bad. He just didn't know that Lin Yi was also happy to see him do this. For him, whether the hammer stone was fixed or not was meaningless because his Q skill was never empty. But seeing Duan Deliang pull apart, Uzi had no choice but to surrender the Q skill and pull the distance between him and Karma again. The blind monk's skills are all blocked by Easy, and if his output on Kalma is interrupted for a second, he will not be able to kill him. The hammer stone was quickly reduced to only a small grid of health. Seeing Easy's Q skill shoot towards the hammer stone again, Uzi had no choice but to hand over the healing he carried, causing the hammer stone's health bar to rise slightly. Although it had an igniting effect and limited healing health, the hammer stone survived in the end. However, if he hit Easy again and fired a secret spell, he would still need to return spring water. Hammer stone players could only stop waving their sickles on Karma, move back and twist your body left and right to avoid Easy's Q skill. The blind monk also intentionally walked towards him and Izeriel, attempting to use his body to block the secret technique of shooting with hammerstone. He and Easy have been in a close contact state, and Ping A has been swinging on Lin Yi. At this time, Izeriel's health is only 1/3 left. Bang Easy flashed to the side, widening the distance between himself and the blind monk, and then fired a secret shot from the extreme position towards Hammerstone. He was not worried at all that he would miss Q, and if Hammerstone didn't flash, he couldn't avoid this secret shooting. After completing this operation, Lin Yi handed over the treatment and ran towards the bottom of the tower without looking back. The blood bar of Hammerstone also cleared and fell down. The acceleration effect of the healing technique slightly accelerated Easy and Kalma's escape pace, and gave Kalma a sip of milk with only 1/3 of their health. Duan Deliang knew he was about to reach the slaying line of skateboarding shoes, so he had to hand over his flash, making it impossible for Callista to continue leveling A. The blind monk player looked at the opened Easy and Karma, and suddenly became a bit anxious. After killing the person, they still planned to run. Bang immediately surrendering the flash, the blind man came to Easy again, and the flat A with a red buff deceleration effect kept falling on Easy. After the Karma encounter, Uzi turned back to repair his sword. He had already completed all his skills and could not reach the opponent on the battlefield. It was better to go back and deal with the pawn line. Blind Monk A hit Lin Yi twice, leaving only a trace of his health. With another round of leveling a damage, Easy's health bar will be directly cleared. High-level players are all detail monsters. Take the example of heroes like blind monks, whose first-hand Q skills are full of uncertainty. Blind players simply use the deceleration effect of red buffs to level Easy, even if the Heavenly Sound Wave CD has improved, they do not use Q skills to kill Easy. The deceleration effect of the red buff is still ongoing, and Easy cannot move at all. At a critical moment, Karma handed over his newly acquired E skill and hung it on easy. The normal attack of the blind monk fell on the shield, blocking the damage. And the distance between the two was widened, making it impossible for the blind monk to reach easy not far away again. He was forced to hand over the already healed Tianyin wave. The blind player is very confident, even though the distance between easy and him has been slightly widened, it is still no different from sticking to his face, and this Q skill cannot be empty. Without a doubt, his wish was about to come to fruition, and Lin Yi controlled easy to walk vertically 90 degrees before the blind monk could even lift his hand. Tianyinbo and Easy's body collided but missed the target. Watching Easy escape back to the tower with a maximum of 23 drops of health, even Yuzai couldn't help but marvel at the opponent's courage and meticulousness in this wave. However, Lin Yi, who was standing at the bottom of the tower and returning to the city, wiped the fine sweat secreted on his forehead due to this operation. The game this round was too thrilling. It wasn't because the opponent played poorly that they managed to escape. Starting from the operation of Hammer Stone E-Flash, the three enemy players had indeed reached their limits. It was only because of his perfect cooperation with Duan Deliang that they won this seemingly inevitable small group battle. Starting from Karma's Q selling flaws, keeping the R skill for his own convenience, he was able to surrender the RW to save his life. When Easy blocked the first set of QE skill damage for the blind monk, and later set of E acceleration to allow Easy to escape, every wave of cooperation, if there is a little mistake, the final outcome will inevitably be dismal. This extreme operation is both frightening and enjoyable. The mystery among them can only be deeply experienced by the parties involved. Lin Yi felt a slight goosebump on his arm, and his face turned red as a result. Game chat has already exploded. Xiaoma AAA, Zhanxi TV, Xiaozhuang, and Tearing Heaven all sent 666 shots, but they did not show any disadvantage in the face of Uzi's attack. Moreover, they were able to kill one person and retreat completely under the GNK in the wilderness. Apart from being shocked, they were secretly grateful. Fortunately, during BP's time, he believed in the player with ID named MRY. It has to be said that the level of this Easy is indeed up to his bold words at the beginning. With this kind of big dad sitting, the morale of Blue Square suddenly increases, and the operations of various lines seem to become more sharp. New books for collection and recommendation. If you have any suggestions, you can also publish this chapter. The author will definitely read it. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. 5Q Under the Tower. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 5Q Under the Tower. Watching the divine level coordination between Easy and Karma, the barrage also exploded instantly. Ghost, the anchor showed off Uzi. No reason, really no reason, the anchor's Q looks so nauseating, why can it be so accurate? I have counted that from the beginning until now, Easy's Q has either been on the front line or on enemy heroes, and has never been in the air. On the way home, Lin Yi glanced at the barrage and felt secretly proud when he saw the discussion on the public screen. However, although this wave claimed to have taken the head of Hammerstone, it was not very profitable due to the fact that the troops were charged in front of the Red Square Tower. Yuzai originally wanted to control the pawn line and let the blue side lose at least one wave of minions, but seeing that he didn't have enough money to go home and sell attack speed shoes, and the blind man lost too much rhythm in this wave of GNK. If he didn't gain some pawn line experience on the way down, he would be completely suppressed by the panther. Helpless, he had to ask the blind monk to help him push the pawn line down. Lin Yi relied on the 1200 gold coins on his body to buy goddess tears in the store and meticulously used QWE to stack layers in the spring water. The current version of goddess tears is worth 850 gold coins. Although it has a full 750 layers, it is actually easier to stack compared to the goddess tears of 400 gold coins in later generations. After all, one can stack layers by hitting air, while the other must hit the enemy, and its speed cannot be compared. When he went online again, Uzi had just finished processing the military lines and saw two waves of military lines converging towards the blue tower. Lin Yi has the ability to predict, often able to replace the soldier just before he dies in battle. Deliberately slowed down the speed of the turret repair knife to ensure that the troops can be controlled under the blue turret when the next wave of artillery lines arrives. The blood exchange battle between Shanlu Nushu and Jianji was extremely intense. After defeating the two groups of wild monsters in the enemy's upper half of the field, Leopard Woman went to capture Jianji and kill her. She was sure to come to her upcoming lower half of the field. Lin Yi controlled the troops in front of the blue tower, in order to give her family the opportunity to create a JNK in the wild. Uzi also understood very well. As soon as he went online, he gestured for Hammerstone to go to the small dragon pit pass and place an eye, while he himself placed a decorative eye on the blue triangular grass. Although this wave of military lines is destined to be a push-back line towards the red side, due to being our artillery line, as long as Lin Yi deliberately supplements the tail knife, the advance of the military line will become very slow. For Uzi, who values soldiers like his life, even if he knows it's dangerous to come forward and repair his sword, he can't shrink back and watch as each soldier dies in front of him. In that case, we can only focus on getting a good view first. Whether the panther intends to come from the triangle grass or detour down the river grass from the little dragon pit, he can detect it immediately. The reason why the eye position needs to be in a small dragon pit instead of a river grass is also very simple. The reason is to have an early insight into the movements of the leopard girl. The two red people must move forward if they want to push the line and repair the knife. If they insert their eyes into the river grass, there will be no time to retreat when they see the leopard girl. The movements of Uzi and Hammerstone were all noticed by Duan Deliang, and with a little calculation, their eye positions were clear. Duan. Carlista's eyes are on our triangular grass, and Hammerstone has been away for a while. His eyes are probably on the small dragon pit. Okay. Leopard Woman expressed understanding and immediately traveled from the middle pass of her own red buff to the opposite wilderness. She had been following the movements of Middle Road Robbery and Fishman, with assassins on both sides. However, Robbery was relatively beaten by Fishman Kant and has been under pressure for a long time. In Xiao Zhuang's line of sight, he saw a fisherman placing an eye spot on the middle grass above, while he had never been below before. Naturally, the red side had no idea that he had entered the lower wilderness area of his own home. The middle lane fish man is too agile and has flashes, and the loot has no control, making it difficult to cooperate in the wilderness. The leopard girl's wave bypasses the field of view and enters the enemy's wilderness to catch it. Xiaozhuang first controlled the leopard woman to jump to the red square blue buff camp, and then arrived at the location where the grass in the lower river was separated by a wall. Leopard form leaps forward, and then marks the spot on the skateboard shoe body to indicate a move. Uzi dared not cross the army line to consume easy, so he had to swap positions with Hammerstone and run to confront Kalma, but never thought this was giving Duan Deliang a chance. Karma E accelerated forward, and W's dog leash immediately hung between him and Carlista. The two of the red Fong looked at the leopard woman walking out of the grass and immediately gave up resisting. How did this leopard girl appear here? Uzi looked bewildered in the live broadcast room, and immediately realized the pitch-black view around the middle road on the mini-map. It turns out that it was from the middle road to the wild area. I should have reminded the middle lane to have eyes, but unfortunately, I didn't expect the opposite side to be so spiritual. After all, this is not a competition, it's just an ordinary qualifying match. Uzi naturally lacks the rigor of the competition, coupled with underestimating the opponent's strength, which is why they were caught. After being pinned down, Carlista was instantly killed, and the hammer stone did not flash or run away. Lin Yi did not give up his head and deliberately relied on his predictive ability to double kill K. Comfortable. The three of them worked together to push the troops into the red tower, and Lin Yi was full of smiles. At present, the time has come to 5 minutes and 10 seconds, and Lin Yi has 3 heads in hand, 1 health coin, and 40 repair knives. It can be said that he is extremely wealthy. From the beginning to the present, Easy has just accumulated enough 2,400 gold coins to directly expose the demon sect. Coupled with the Duan sword that he wore outside, Easy's current combat power is terrifying. Just go online and cross the army line directly, relying on Kalmar's shield to consume Uzi crazily. No matter which side Callista moves towards, Lin Yi's Q skill can always accurately hit. After completing a set of skills, the health of skateboarding shoes was instantly reduced to only 1/3. Hammerstone was so scared that he immediately threw out a lantern to save Uzi. What kind of ghost damage is this Easy? Uzi was also startled and opened the tab button to take a look at Easy's equipment, then became speechless. It didn't take 6 minutes before the demon sect arrived. Even he had to admit that he couldn't match up on the road anymore, let alone this Easy's Q skill is as accurate as self-aiming. Uzi has residual health, and the tower members dare not continue to stay, so they are forced to return to the city to replenish their health. And Duan Deliang ran to play Little Dragon with Leopard Girl. It is worth mentioning that the current Little Dragon is still in the era of 5 dragons invincibility. However, 10 days later, on May 10th, the Chinese server will welcome the 6.9 version of the actual installation, and the elemental dragon will shine. Lin Yi pushed his troops under the tower, hoping to take the opportunity to consume the tower's health. Hammerstone, on the other hand, hides behind the defense tower, twisting left and right, hoping to dodge skills while also replenishing a few remaining health soldiers. After all, AD is not here, it's better to give the military economy to the tower than to give it to him. Lin Yi watched as the figure of Hammerstone slowly curled his lips, followed by a precise Q secret shooting, causing his health to plummet due to the high damage. Hammerstone players do not believe in evil and still cling to the bottom of the tower, twisting their small barbarian waist. I am the real strongest king. If you have the ability, just kill me under the tower. If Lin Yi knew about Hammerstone's thoughts, he would probably be able to laugh out loud, feeling that it was the first time he had seen such an unreasonable request. Before long, the 4th Q skill headed towards the constantly moving Hammerstone, and under precise hit, the Hammerstone's health line was reduced to only a small fraction. Sleeping slot. The Hammerstone player was immediately startled and opened a self-aiming, right. Hurry back and don't dare to stay at the bottom of the tower anymore. Lin Yi couldn't let him leave like this. Since he didn't want to leave at the beginning, let's stay forever. Easy surrendered his E skill to pull in the distance, and after Ping A made a move, he predicted the position of the secret shooting technique to turn back and move towards Hammerstone. MRY is close to going berserk. 5 Q skills below the tower, all hit and directly took away the Hammerstone. Duan Deliang witnessed the entire process of the murder with his own eyes, and couldn't help but leave a question mark at Easy's feet. Hammerstone has a cerebral hemorrhage, walked for half a day, and didn't dodge a single Q. Is this the king? I wonder if even my bronze could not have been hit 5 consecutive Q skills, right? In Lin Yi's live broadcast room, apart from the full screen of 666, there were also a few messages mixed with doubts about the strength of Hammerstone. Close barrage to protect intelligence. Is it so difficult to admit that the anchor is strong? It's not normal for passers-by to eat the Q skill that even Uzi can't avoid. At this time, the barrage in the live broadcast rooms of national TV and UZI was even more explosive. This Easy is really tough. It's the first time I've seen such a precise Q, strong enough. Have you ever mentioned where Easy is live streaming from across the street? I'll go see. Uzi couldn't help but purse his lips when he saw Hammerstone's tragic death under the tower. I can't play anymore on the way down. My teammates, come and save me. A wave of requests for assistance were frantically pinged, and at this moment Uzi's face was very unpleasant. Suppressing the urge to hang up and take a shower, he controlled Carlista to come down the road. Even though he may be confident, he still feels a bit powerless in the face of Izeriel, who has already exceeded his equipment by a large margin. 2v2 is definitely not a good match, so we can only seek help from our teammates and try to kill Easy while he hasn't dodged. Otherwise, let this Izeriel develop and we'll only have 20 shots waiting for them. Blind Monk definitely wouldn't dare to come to GNK alone. His development is severely hindered now. Not to mention that 2 sets of wild monsters were knocked out earlier. Leopard Woman's continuous finding of rhythm in both directions has opened up a huge economic gap between them. He can only take a detour when encountering a leopard girl in the wilderness now. Even though he is underdeveloped, he has to run down the road alone to besiege this 4.0 Easy, which can only be said to be seeking death. I can only think of seeing if I can find some opportunities in the middle and upper routes. His situation is also very clear to Leopard Girl. Xiaozhuang knows that he definitely doesn't need to continue helping him down the road. With the luxury level of Easy's current equipment and his flexibility on the road, it's only a matter of time before 2v2 pushes down the next tower. And as a professional assistant, Duan Deliang's vision in the wild area of the down road was completely illuminated by him. Even if the other party wanted to catch it, it was difficult to catch the extremely agile aerial. His confidence in this Easy has reached an unprecedented level now. Therefore, the leopard woman regarded the blind monk's wild area as her own home and crazily caused trouble in the red square wild area. He was very clear that nothing should happen during this period, and after Easy pulled out the next tower, the rhythm would be completely in their hands. So he stopped playing wild and went into the wild area to find the position of the blind monk. He can understand the truth, and naturally the Noah on the road and the loot in the middle unit can also understand it. A few people were all slaves, and when they discovered that there was a big dad in the team who could lead them to fly, they immediately became less anxious. Whenever the opponent's position was slightly more aggressive, they immediately retreated, and even a pair of Mercury shoes were released in the middle lane, fearing that their fragile body would be crossed by the opponent's tower. Looking at the little fish man and blind monk who left without success, Heaven helped the glasses on Fu's face and said, "Do you want to use me as a breakthrough?" "No way." He, who was also on Do You Live with Lin Yi, had a considerable number of viewers, and when he saw this scene, he also joked about it. "This is the first time I have seen the robbery of naked Mercury shoes, pure Hun, only the body of the robber, without the soul of the Shadow Flow Lord. It's really satisfying to be able to lie down and win the heavenly bag. Doesn't care about the eerie atmosphere that can be seen everywhere on the public screen." First, it made a question mark online, indicating that its teammate Little Fish Man was missing. Then, it calmly dealt with the troops below the tower. "I have received a short contract from the signing website, and I didn't expect it to be so fast. It's only 3 chapters, but I'm still very happy. I plan to handle the signing matters in the next few days. I hope to collect and recommend new books, and now that I have signed a new book, I can also invest in it. Everyone, please use your hands to help the author. I hope everyone can keep up with the new book data." End of this chapter. Chapter 5. 4 Guarantees and 2 Guarantees. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 4 Guarantees and 2 Guarantees. The little fish man and the blind monk had no choice but to face the tribulation at the bottom of the tower. The two of them walked together to the blue square red area, and by this time the game time had already reached 9 minutes. First, seeing F4's campsite empty, I was overjoyed. Leopard Girl has indeed been brushed up. When the game time is 8 minutes, it is the time point for the first wild area to reset. Considering the current speed of Panther's wild area, it is not difficult to clear the 3 wild areas below in 1 minute. Worried that Triangle Grass might have eyes, the two of them arrived at a location only a wall away from the Stone Beetle camp. First, the little fish man crossed the wall with the E skill, and then the blind monk approached W closely. The two of them walked step by step towards Easy, who was suppressing under the red tower. Uzi saw his own midfield in place and drew in the hammer stone with his ultimate move, while the A. Soldier slid forward. Lin Yi and Duan Deliang immediately became vigilant, remembering that the fish man who had just robbed the middle road marker was missing the signal. They now understood that the opponent's center field should have come over. He thought the other party would catch a wave before his flash CD improved, but he didn't expect it to be just now. If the blind monk knew Lin Yi's thoughts, he would probably curse angrily, "Do you think I don't want to come while you're still flashing? The key is that your leopard girl has been teasing me in the lower field. How did I get here? I won't say much nonsense for now." Lin Yi saw his skateboard shoes charging towards him, and first fired a secret spell to kill a portion of his health. Then, he followed Kalma and retreated backwards. Controlling Easy to deliberately walk behind Karma, Duan Deliang suddenly understood Iziriel's thoughts and was not in a hurry to hand over E and run away. Hammerstone flew out of Callista's body and headed towards Easy not far away. Lin Yi surrendered his E skill at the moment when the hammer hit him, offsetting the flying control. And the E skill is not flashing towards the blue defense tower, but towards the shape of the skateboard shoes. Bang! The golden light flashed by, and Duan Deliang almost handed over the flash at the same time and rushed towards Callista. The distance between the four was already similar to a flash, while the skateboard shoes were still in a forward position. Uzi looked at Easy and Karma, who suddenly appeared on his face, and was so scared that his mouse was about to fly out. Duan Deliang handed over W to hold on to the skateboard shoes, while also handing over E skill sets to himself. Accelerate towards the skateboard shoes to prevent him from slipping and breaking the chain. Hammerstone threw out a lantern to save Uzi, but to his surprise, W had just landed and his two real eyes appeared in the aperture in an instant. Uzi tried to light the lantern, but found himself with a real eye. Damn it! With an irritable scolding, Uzi was forced to dodge and flee towards Hammerstone, hoping his teammates could save him. The damage of this Iziriel is too high. If you walk down the tower, you will have to account for it in less than 2 seconds. Block brother Q. Uzi clicked his mouse wildly and handed over the healing acceleration, desperately trying to escape behind Hammerstone. His current health is less than half, and if he eats another round of Q, he will definitely die if he is pinned down. Karma RQ has not been paid yet. After all, he was one step slower. Due to wasting a lot of time trying to light lanterns earlier, by the time he flashed and landed, he was already in place and unable to move. Lin Yi's Q, the goal is to directly specify skateboarding shoes in place. Duan Deliang is also a powerful move to strengthen his Q skill and charge towards Uzi. Bang! Another golden light flashed by, and the hammer stone blocked the skateboard shoes, devouring these two sets of skills. He, who was already underdeveloped, had only 1/3 of his blood in an instant. Lin Yi is not in a hurry either. He has been maintaining a 5-level passive attack speed and hands over W to hit both Hammerstone and Callista at the same time. Ping A crossed the Hammerstone and continuously landed on her skateboard shoes, taking away her large amount of health. Hammerstone was in a hurry and handed over his E skill, causing Easy to move further away. At this moment, he took another secret skill shot from Easy and only had a little health left. Before he died, he immediately launched a big move to curb Easy's progress. Lin Yi did not move forward as expected, but instead stood in place to level A output. On the opposite side of the road, they seem to be crazy and want to kill Uzi before their own Nakano reaches the battlefield, so naturally they cannot be allowed to do so. Hammerstone players know they will die, and currently they don't have any armor on them. Their bodies are too fragile to withstand Easy's output. I can only rely on my Q skill to hit Iziriel before death, delaying a little time. Lin Yi controlled Easy to twist his waist 90 degrees straight, dodged this hook, and then 2 flat A shots directly took away Hammerstone. Uzi has also regained its freedom and is gradually rushing towards the blue defense tower. Just took 2 steps and saw Iziriel's Q skill flying towards him, trying to dodge but still being hit. At this point, his health was only a fraction left, and if he fired another secret spell, he would fall down. However, fortunately, Easy dared not pursue him with the powerful move of Hammer Stone, and his Q skill was not close enough to hit him. Watching the blind monk and the little fish man walking towards him, Uzi felt relieved, but before he could let go of his heart hanging in his throat, he saw the other party's Iziriel bending down and pulling his bow, starting to gather strength. Callista did not flash, and the precise barrage accurately passed through his body. The blind monk wanted to surrender the Uzi under W protection, but Iziriel's damage was too high, and his ultimate move still cleared Callista's health bar. Double kill. After completing his ultimate move, Lin Yi and Kalma walked straight towards the red tower. At this point, the blue line of the square soldiers under the tower had already been devoured by the defense tower. As soon as Easy stepped into the attack range of the defense tower, an attack fell on him. Although they have killed the opponent's down road duo, Easy and Karma currently have unhealthy health, with only half of their health. Faced with the bloody Nakano duo, there was no possibility of any operation, and the two had to carry the red defense tower and flee backwards. Karma handed over the E skill set that had been converted from CD to Iziriel, and the attack of the defense tower was immediately blocked by a shield. Zayuran hands over the E skill to pull in the distance, and then flashes a big move directly. Shark. The high sound effects sent endless killing intent rushing towards Easy. Lin Yi is currently only at level 6, still at level 1E. At this time, the CD has not yet improved, and as he looks at the fish man's big move flying towards him, he can only be forced to hand in his flash. Mango Fish is truly a first-class fish man in the country. The angle of the big move release is very good, and the judgment range of the small fish man's big move is too broad, relying on his positioning cannot move away. Iziriel crossed the wall and arrived at the red field. Taking advantage of the Karma E skill's acceleration before it disappeared, he quickly fled towards the middle. Duan Deliang knew he was bound to die, and in order to prevent Zhongye from getting an assist, he still followed suit and fled towards the red second tower. However, on the way, he failed to fulfill his wish and was pulled into the distance by the blind monk W's improved touch eye. His Q skill, Tianyin Wave, accurately hit and killed him. Mango Fish didn't give up on going down the road and didn't get anything. He wanted to go to the river to pursue Easy, but saw the enemy's arrival and had no choice but to leave. Lin Yi cut off the double kill, the economy skyrocketed again, and the Red Army no longer had any intention of resisting. The game time has reached 11 minutes, and Lin Yi finally dismantled the next tower. Duan Deliang intentionally let him eat the defense tower economy alone and expand his advantage. Lin Yi continued to push the rear line of the army before pressing the return button. After 12 minutes, he directly pulled out the Demon Sect plus Ice Fist, and also had a pair of attack speed shoes. Iziriel is completely invincible, and his two-piece set of equipment is extremely luxurious. What is the concept of Ice Fist in 12 minutes? Lin Yi proved through practical actions that he really does what he wants now. As long as someone dares to appear in his line of sight, he immediately rides his E face on the opponent's head to output, but unfortunately the opponent's skills cannot hit him. The demon's movement forced the other party to flee backwards. However, the red team discovered a problem. Easy slowed down with his Ice Fist and relentlessly chased them to death. I can't fight and I can't escape. I have used all my skills without posing any threat to this Iziriel. My teammates are also surrounded by Lin Yi like stars and moons. They just need to protect this Israel. What will he lose in the undead team battle? Uzi is trembling even while guarding the tower below. In just 15 minutes, the Easy Demon Sect has evolved into a magic cut. With a QAW on E.face, Callista's health will be reduced by half. 5 people are like a group of bandits, killing wherever they go, with no grass growing in the online wilderness. Finally, after enduring for 20 minutes, the red side launched a team battle with a counterattack on the brink of death. In the end, Lin Yi controlled the easy to dodge and chop off 4 heads. Quadra kill. The cold and serious female voice echoed through the summoner's canyon. The 5 members of the red side all clicked to surrender, and the camera moved uncontrollably to the opponent's main crystal, which then exploded like fireworks in Lin Yi's eyes. Signed, rest assured to follow up. Seeking a wave of data for a new book, I recommend collecting and starting to invest now. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Duan Deliang's telephone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Duan Deliang's telephone. The game is over. Lin Yi clicks the mouse with his fingers and presses the victory button in the center of the computer screen. Looking at the settlement interface, I was very satisfied with my 20-minute slash of 24,396 output points. The first time I played against my idol and led the team to win the game on my own, the feeling of exhilaration lingered in my heart for a long time, difficult to dissipate. If you think the anchor's strength is good, you can click on the top right corner to follow. Every night, I live stream the Egao branch, and anyone who wants to learn AD can come and take a look. Lin Yi said as he sent a friend application to Uzi's account. Uzi doesn't play the Chinese server very well, so it's not easy to meet them once, so we can't miss the opportunity to be friends. It's a bit funny that after Lin Yi said what to pay attention to, the barrage in the live broadcast room suddenly changed its art style. The floating screen, which was originally full of praise, was instantly occupied by the 4 words, "Definitely next time." Despite this, Lin Yi was extremely happy to see the increasing number of followers in the upper right corner. I have only been doing live streaming for about a month, and there are not many people watching it in the live broadcast room, and there are very few bullet comments on the public screen. He is well aware that the current top anchors on live streaming platforms are either former professional players with a large amount of popularity accumulation, such as PDD, Wu Wu Kai, etc., or entertainment anchors with explosive live streaming effects and countless memes, such as the recently rising gold medal lecturer Decima in Douyu. But he doesn't occupy either, and he speaks very little during the high-end live broadcast. He usually focuses all his attention on the game and doesn't even look at the barrage. Therefore, it is difficult for him to retain the audience in his live broadcast room, and he has not found a suitable way to do so for a month. At this moment, a message suddenly popped up on the game's client, and Lin Yi couldn't help but be surprised when he clicked on it. Surprisingly, it was a friend of Duan Deliang who applied. After passing, the news immediately came over. Duan. Double row. Lin Yi couldn't count how many surprises this was today, and after happily agreeing, he pulled Duan Deliang's account into the ranking queue. Proactively inviting double row players for career assistance is not a treatment that everyone can receive. The two of them played a few games together, killing randomly on the basic field. With Lin Yi's extremely strong strength and a top professional assistant, they couldn't find any opponents for a while. Having won 5 consecutive victories, Lin Yi's Chinese server account has also surpassed 600 points at this moment. Duan. That's it for today. Let's add a VX and have the chance to play together again in the future. Looking at the message sent by Duan Deliang, Lin Yi naturally wouldn't refuse. He first shut down the live broadcast room and then sent his WeChat account over. After checking the time on WeChat, I realized it was already midnight. Even with 5 more games played, there are still a lot of people in the live broadcast room. Although Lin Yi doesn't pay much attention to them when playing games, Barrage has the advantage of allowing them to interact on their own even if the host doesn't say a word. The number of followers in the live broadcast room has exceeded 10,000, won't the host give some rewards? In a floating screen of 666 and 233, Lin Yi keenly captured a message and was pleasantly surprised to open the Douyu platform on the webpage and find his own live broadcast room. As the Barrage said, the number of followers in the live broadcast room has reached over 10,000 at this moment. And it is still growing slowly. Then let's draw a number and help you win too. Lin Yi yawned and casually said, it's considered a welfare of following over 10,000 in the live broadcast room. He usually goes to bed at this point, but today he finally attracted a wave of traffic through a game with UZI. He doesn't want to give up just like this. The barrage instantly exploded the pot. Suppressing drowsiness and helping a lucky water enthusiast win 2 games, Lin Yi just stopped streaming and closed the live broadcast room. Who? Leaning back on the chair, taking a long breath, walking up for a long time made his wrist inevitably ache. His right hand gently rotated to relieve the feeling of fatigue. Unconsciously, it's already May. Lin Yi looked at the date in the bottom right corner of the screen, murmured softly, and then couldn't help but smile bitterly. As you said, the road of esports is not as easy to follow. Recalling my youthful vigor in front of my father and boasting that I would definitely become an esports star in the future, it seems that my arrogance has ultimately caused trouble. I persisted in the live broadcast for a whole month, and even went to a certain LSPL team for trial training midway, but it ended in failure. Although there was some improvement in the live broadcast room today, Lin Yi was very clear that these were all illusions, and it was estimated that I would be knocked back to my original form in a while. Shaking his head, he threw the bitterness brought by his current awkward situation out of his mind, got up and went to the bathroom for a brief wash. Then he lay flat on the bed, closed his eyes, and quickly fell asleep. The next morning, Lin Yi was awakened by a burst of WeChat phone calls. He rolled over, opened his hazy eyes, and first looked at the time displayed on his phone, realizing that it was already 10:30. After unlocking the screen, the caller's information pops up. It's actually Duan Deliang. Lin Yi was somewhat surprised. He thought he was not familiar with this professional assistant. Even when he was in double row yesterday, he didn't even have a microphone. But this morning, the other party actually made a phone call without saying a word. Cough, cough, Lin Yi cleared his throat and then pressed the answer button. Hello, hello. Is it myriad? The voice on the other end of the phone was very loud. I'm Duan Deliang. Yesterday we were in double rows, and my ID is Duan. Hello, I know you, an auxiliary player of VG Club. Lin Yi also watches professional matches on a regular basis. After all, this is exactly what he has always longed for. Therefore, he almost knows all the major professional players of LPL. I won't beat around the bush anymore. Duan Deliang paused, seeming to be pondering his words. After yesterday's end, I recommended you to our club manager. Do you want to play professionally? Although there was a hint of hope in his heart, when Lin Yi truly heard this sentence, he was still stunned for 2 seconds, and his heart couldn't help but beat faster. Can I? The other end of the phone fell into a few seconds of silence. Do you know who you shot yesterday? Duan Deliang spoke again. I don't need to say it explicitly. You always say you're his fan. After pausing for a few seconds, the voice came again. I even asked Uzi specifically to evaluate your strength. Do you know what he said? Lin Yi was speechless, and he could even feel his right hand shaking while holding his phone. Duan Deliang seemed to notice something unusual about the other person at this moment, chuckling lightly. He didn't explicitly say whether he was strong or not, he just told me something. Do you know why I had to pull you back to double row last night? His tone was extremely serious. Professional players don't care about scores, let alone Chinese server rankings. Actually, that can also be considered a test for you. VG's current situation is very bad. To be honest, we have strong center fielders, but our results are not good. We can only reach the playoff threshold. I don't need to say the reason, you should have guessed it too. That's why I came to you. I hope you can come to the club for a trial. As the words fell, Lin Yi even stopped breathing. Who among his family understands that the profession he once longed for the most is now throwing an olive branch at him? I need to discuss with my family. Lin Yi patted his forehead, trying to wake up a bit. And are you sure I can change the current VG? We can't be 100% certain. Duan Deliang replied. The significance of esports is that no one dares to say they are 100% guaranteed to win until the last moment. Otherwise, where do those sensational events in history start? We can only say that we can give it a try and try to change. And, you also yearn for it in your heart, don't you? Duan Deliang can feel Lin Yi's desire to pursue a career. Let me think about it. Lin Yi remained silent for a moment before speaking. I will send you a WeChat message if there are any results. The other party answered okay and hung up the phone. Although I don't know what Lin Yi is hesitating about, Duan Deliang knows that his goal has been achieved, and he is determined to win this person. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Half-Year Covenant. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Half-Year Covenant. The call has ended, but Lin Yi still stared at the phone screen in a daze. Does he want to play professionally? Undoubtedly, it is certain. To be honest, if he had received this invitation 2 days ago, he might have refused it on the spot. In the month since leaving home, he has recognized himself and knows that his ordinary talents are not enough to make him shine on the professional field. But the key is that currently he has perfectly inherited all the strength of peak Uzi and also possesses divine-level foresight ability. Aren't these two heavenly surprises prepared for his career path? Without further thought, Lin Yi got up from the bed and made up his mind. He quickly packed his belongings and put them in his luggage box. First, pack the computer you used during your live broadcast, then ask the courier to take it away, and then there are some clothes you changed and washed. 2 hours later, everything was settled. Lin Yi stood at the door of the room where he had lived for a full month, looked back at the place where his life had been engraved, took out his phone, and took a photo, which was considered a commemoration for himself. At first, he had a petty temper and insisted on dropping out of school to become a professional athlete. He even threatened his father by running away from home. Now, when I think about it, it's really a rebellious, childish heart at work. Hello, Dad, I plan to go home today, Lin Yi said with difficulty. There's something I want to talk to you about. The other end of the phone didn't say anything, just a faint, good reply. Hang up the phone. Lin Yi picked up his suitcase, took a taxi, and rushed to the high-speed railway station. By the time he returned home, it was already evening. Looking at the 3-story duplex building in front of him, which had been separated for a month, Lin Yi's heart was filled with mixed emotions. I proposed to my parents to play esports because my grades were not ideal in my sophomore year and I played games well. However, this idea was strongly opposed by them at the time. But he still took advantage of them not being at home to tidy up some things and left straight away, which was also funny. At that time, he was still naive, hoping to wander around the outside world like this with the 1,000 lucky money in his hand. As a result, I took a high-speed train and stayed in a hotel for a few days before realizing that I had run out of money. Finally, Lin's father saw through his stubbornness and gave him 20,000 yuan, otherwise he probably wouldn't even be able to afford food at that time. Lin Yi took out the key from his pocket, opened the door, and suddenly rushed towards him with a smell of meat. A dignified middle-aged man was sitting on the sofa in the living room, looking somewhat similar to Lin Yi in appearance, but with a more mature and introverted temperament. It was Lin Yi's father, Lin Zhongxiang. Upon seeing him return, Lin's father immediately spoke up, "First, put the things in your own room, and then come out to eat. Your mother specially made pork ribs stew soup for you today." In the kitchen, a gentle figure peeked out upon hearing the sound of the door opening and hurriedly ran over to see her son. "The dishes are ready, you're hungry, hurry up and go eat," she said after speaking. I picked up the suitcase in Lin Yi's hand and wanted to help him carry it back to his room. This 3-story duplex building was built by someone who paid for it in a few years ago. According to Lin's father, it only cost tens of thousands of yuan at that time. Judging from the current housing price trend, it can be considered a great bargain. The 3rd floor is dedicated to storing miscellaneous items and does not house people. The second floor is the studying parents' bedroom. The first floor, apart from the living room and kitchen, has only one room, and Lin Yi lives here. The luggage was all some clothes, not heavy, and the room was also very close, so Lin Yi left it with his mother. There were several exquisite dishes on the dining table, almost all of which he loved to eat. At this moment, they were steaming hot and fragrant. Next to it was an electric clay pot with pork ribs stewed in it, and the meat aroma that I just smelled at the door emanated from there. Lin Yijian's mother wanted to help him tidy up the clothes in his suitcase and put them in the wardrobe. "Don't be busy, let's eat first. I may have to go to S City in a few days," he said after speaking. He secretly regretted it, but even though he had already spoken, he couldn't retract it. Sure enough, upon hearing this, Lin's mother was stunned for a moment, with a hint of disappointment on her face. Then she walked quickly and said, "Why do you have to go home?" Lin's father, who sat across from Lin Yi at the dining table, also looked at him with questioning eyes. First, he let out a sigh in his heart, and then Lin Yi spoke frankly, "There is an LPL club that has approached me and wants me to go for a trial." After hearing this, Lin's face darkened and he hesitated for a few seconds before saying, "Let's eat first. We'll talk about this later." Lin's mother wanted to say something more, but was stopped by Lin's father's gaze. A dinner was hastily passed in silence, and the dishes, which were originally full of flavor and aroma, lost their original flavor in this unpleasant atmosphere. Lin's father sat on the chair after dinner, rubbed his brows, picked up the cigarette on the table, and then put it down again. "Can you tell Dad what you think? You said you want to play professionally sports, but I don't agree. Why don't you just run away from home?" Lin's father's tone was tinged with anger. "You'll be in high school in 6 months, and even if you go to college, I'll do whatever you want to do, but why do you have to do it now? I thought letting you stay in the neighboring city for a month would allow you to experience the hardships of life and gain growth, but what about the outcome?" Father Lin's tone became increasingly heavy, and his anger seemed to have reached a critical point, almost uncontrollable. "How do you know where I've been this month?" Lin Yi was somewhat surprised when he heard his father say this. He had never told his family that he had rented a room in the neighboring city to live stream at that time. Upon hearing this, Lin's father sneered, "I am your guardian. Just go to the police station and check where your ID card was obtained for check.in. If I didn't know your specific whereabouts, do you think you could stay there for a month? The police would have caught you long ago." As the words fell, Lin Yi remained silent. At first, he thought he was hiding well and his family couldn't find him at all. "Lin Yi, remember to consider all aspects of everything you do," Lin's father said with great care. "You are young now, and there are indeed opportunities for trial and error. However, the current time point is one of the most important stages in your life. How many people in the country are working hard to learn and improve themselves at this stage?" At this moment, Lin's mother had already finished the kitchen work and walked slowly over. "Xiaoyi, your father said these things for your own good. I've been watching him run to the police station almost every day this month," Lin's mother said with some heartache as she looked at her son's slightly thinner face compared to before. "I've been crazy outside for a month now, should I stop it?" Lin Yi is also very clear that his parents are right, but if he were still a few days ago, he might follow his family's arrangements to return to school. However, what is now in front of him may be the only opportunity in his life, and he doesn't want to give up like this in his heart. After thinking for a moment, he finally lifted his head and met Lin Zhongxiang's eyes, his gaze full of determination. "Last time. If I still haven't made a name for myself in esports this time, I'll come back and focus on studying. There are still more than half a year left this season," Lin Yi promised. "Let's make a 6-month agreement. If I make a name for myself in 6 months, you don't care about me." Upon hearing this, Lin Zhongxiang's eyebrows furrowed even deeper. He looked at his son sitting opposite him, as if he wanted to see through his eyes the most genuine thoughts in his heart, but the result surprised him. From Lin Yi's eyes, he could only see unwavering determination. This was something that never happened a month ago, which made Lin Zhongqiang lose his composure. What you said, the last time. Lin Zhongqiang became a bit hoarse due to his compromised voice. If you don't succeed after 6 months, then come back to study and go to college honestly. Lin Yi nodded, indicating understanding. Let me know when the day to S City is set, and I will accompany you there. Finally, Lin Zhongqiang stood up and walked towards the second floor with his mother, saying, "Okay. End of this chapter." Chapter 8. Go to S City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Go to S City. After obtaining the consent of his family, Lin Yi called and informed Duan Deliang of the news of his trial that night. After some discussion, the two finally decided to meet at the Hongqiao high-speed railway station in S City the day after tomorrow. At night, Lin Yi lay tossing and turning in bed, and the previously thick drowsiness seemed to disappear at this moment. To be honest, he is not worried about the effectiveness of his trial training the day after tomorrow. If he inherits the full strength of Peak Uzi and cannot even pass the trial of a mere LPL team, then it is better to go home early to raise pigs. His melancholy lies in his future career life. After all, from childhood to adulthood, the longest time I have been away from home is only a month, and I have always locked myself in that small room, without the need for communication, completely living in my own world. I haven't been able to come back for at least a while since this trip. And I heard that besides professional players from various branches, the club also has staff from various positions. The future self requires long-term interaction with them. It's not that Lin Yi is socially fearful, it's just a normal person's confusion about unknown things. He also inquired about VG and found out that it was an esports club founded by the wealthy second generation, with a very wealthy owner. The personnel configuration of the VG League of Legends division is also very luxurious. Dandy in the Wilderness and Easy Hoon in the center singles have won the S.Series championship, and their strength can be said to be very strong. However, VG's performance in the S6 spring season is not good, and they can only enter the playoffs and only achieve 6th place. No wonder Duan Deliang is eager to find a new AD player for the team. Lin Yi has watched the VG team's matches, and it can be said that the main reason for the unsatisfactory VG results can be attributed to this endless player. Such a strong center field combination cannot bring him, and his strength can be imagined. Time slowly passed in his wild thoughts, and in the end, he didn't even know how he fell asleep. The next morning, Lin Yi was awakened by a phone call from the courier. The computer he sent back from the neighboring city had already been delivered to his home. After signing for it, Lin Yi also didn't feel sleepy. He decided to have breakfast and return to his room to play a few games to maintain his touch and prepare for tomorrow's trial. First, install the computer, then turn it on and log into your account in one go. The network at home is very good, and it is a gigabit network that Lin Yi specifically instructed to install before. There are very few people playing games in the morning, and even his game list of hundreds of people is not very online at this moment. Starting from around 9 o'clock, Lin Yi only played once during lunch. All 10 people are high-scoring passers-by, without any professional players or famous anchors. An unquestionable massacre. Lin Yi's current account has 653 points, which can add more than 20 winning points in one move. Perhaps due to the end of the spring season, most professional players from other teams, except for RNG participating in the mid-season, are currently playing the national uniform. The afternoon is also the time for a large number of professional players to train independently, and many well-known anchors also choose to start broadcasting in the afternoon or evening. Having nothing to do after lunch, he continued to choose his seat, and the queuing time in the afternoon was greatly reduced compared to the morning. 5 games have ended, and it's already 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. Arriving at the settlement interface, Lin Yi instinctively glanced at his current score. The strongest king .777 win points. Since inheriting all the strength of the Peak Uzi, he has never lost a qualifying match. The score has also risen steadily, and currently the ranking of the Chinese server has also risen to 77th place. Many people saw that he was currently in a hot state and took the initiative to add his gaming friends, hoping to pull him up the double row with him. However, he only applied through friends, and the double row politely declined. With his current strength, facing the current Chinese server king is a complete blow to dimensionality reduction, and compared to single row, the game is even less difficult and may appear uninteresting. Lin Yi, who planned to break through 800 points, opened the queue again, and his game status changed from online to in the queue. In an instant, many of the strongest kings in the game list who were also in the queue suddenly changed to online. He suddenly burst into laughter. The purpose of these strongest kings adding him as friends is nothing more than to try to double row and get some light from his current hot split state. Even if the double row cannot be formed, you can wait for him to enter the game and start queuing on your own to avoid colliding with this demon. After all, the probability of being ranked at home is April 9th, while the probability of being ranked across is May 9th. This is also the norm among the monarchs in the national server. These people are all iron score slaves, and they are meticulously calculating every day to improve their scoring efficiency as much as possible. Lin Yi, on the other hand, doesn't care at all. It's not that he's bloated now, but so far, even if he crashed into UZI the day before yesterday, he hasn't been able to show all his strength. One reason is that currently UZI's strength is not as good as his. The second reason is the difference in the strength of the assistants on both sides. Duan Deliang is a top professional assistant that even Uzi praises. It's not surprising to have an assist gap when facing an ordinary high-scoring person. He is extremely eager for an evenly matched battle now, and he wants to see where his upper limit is. As a result, in the next round of ranking, others were confused. In this game, he chose Big Mouth to cooperate with Lulu, and the early stages were smooth sailing, relying on his strong strength multiple times to advance to the finish line. When he was 3.0, the enemy sword G killed faster than him, and the captain on his side felt like he no longer knew who he was. At level 1, you will receive a single kill from the opponent, and at level 3, you will be able to launch a tower crossing kill. From beginning to end, the captain was only meant to stay under the tower and show off oranges. Lin Yi looked at Tianfei Jianji and felt a slight unease in his heart, but when he saw that his side was assisted by Lulu, he immediately felt much more at ease. It has been proven that there are no eggs. In the middle of the game, he controlled his big mouth and gave the sword princess a forward A, and was instantly killed by two close-range flaws that flashed through his body. It wasn't until then that he knew what a horror game was. Lin Yi played League of Legends for several years and felt full of malice for the first time. I'll just give you an A, and you'll come over and kill me with 2 knives. Looking at Jianji, who was much more luxurious than his own equipment, Lin Yi suddenly felt that he shouldn't have provoked him. Finally, in this game, Jianji ignored the middle tower and the Highland tower, and forcefully cut 4 kills before pushing the main crystal away in one wave. Lin Yi's upper division journey today also came to an end after 6 wins and 1 loss. After dinner, I accompanied my parents to a small restaurant outside and had a good meal. Lin's mother praised it as wishing him a successful trial. Soon, May 3rd will arrive. Due to buying high-speed rail tickets in advance, Lin Yi and his son bid farewell to Lin's mother and set off together. Exit. Duan Deliang arrived here early to wait. The two exchanged photos on WeChat. At first, when Duan Deliang saw the photos sent by Lin Yi, he questioned whether he had found online photos to deceive him, but in fact, he didn't want to come for a trial. Everyone is the strongest king, why are you so handsome? Unfair. Under Lin Yi's eloquent explanation, he finally believed that this was him. This way. As soon as he left the station, Lin Yi saw Duan Deliang waving his hand at him, gesturing for him to pass. And Duan Deliang was not surprised to see the middle-aged man following Lin Yi. Many parents were worried that their children would go to other cities to work at a young age. He had seen many of them, including himself, who was also like this in the beginning. "Hello uncle, I'm Duan Deliang," he said to Lin's father before turning his gaze to Lin Yi. "Let's go, the car is at the door. The team owner values you very much and has arranged a special car to pick you up. You know, other trainees don't receive this treatment." As the three of them walked and chatted, they soon saw a 7-seater commercial vehicle parked on the roadside, with VG team benchmarks engraved around it, which looked very cool. After the three of them got into the car, Lin Zhongqiang first took out his phone and reported safety to Lin's mother. Then, he quietly listened to his son chatting with Duan Deliang beside him. There seemed to be endless topics among young people, and Lin Yi's lips smiled as he talked vividly with Duan Deliang. Lin's father looked at Lin Yi, who had a smile on his face, and shook his mind. It seemed that he had never seen his son so happy since he started middle school. "By the way, why are you so eager to find AD players?" Lin Yi asked him a question that had been bothering him for a long time. "With the appeal of LPL clubs like VG, there are too many people trying to squeeze in, right? You should know that even if you look across the country, VG is also known as a top club, and its subsidiaries cover various gaming fields, with achievements in LOL, Dota, and other fields." "That's right, but you need to know VG's investments in the past 2 years," Duan Deliang said with a hint of distress on his face. "The central field is all former S.Game champions, and the prices are outrageously expensive. If you can't achieve results, it's highly likely that you will eventually break up and rebuild. Do you know the Snake team? It's the Snake team. We can buy the entire team with just one player from Nakano. Except for Saint Gun, who is a bit more expensive, the prices of other players are not even enough for Marquee. But the Snake team finished 5th in this spring tournament. They even surpassed VG by the head." Upon hearing this, Lin Yi's pupils shrank slightly. He was well aware of the meaning behind Duan Deliang's words, which meant that if his VG performance in this summer's competition did not improve, the boss might withdraw his investment and give up next year. After all, even if a company has money, it cannot sustain its operations even if it cannot make ends meet. The cake of esports has been coveted by countless people, but the current environment is indeed more monks than meat, let alone LPL's performance in the S competition has always been poor. In the S5, many large enterprises have already started to lay out esports, and even introduced Han Yuan at various exorbitant prices. But what about the outcome? All of the S5 Samsung 10 sons have come to China, while LPL has achieved its worst record in the S tournament since 2013, despite being the world's #1 in terms of paper strength. The first-seeded LGD released themselves before the competition, and even their skins were pre-booked. However, they never made it to the group stage and only achieved a round of 16 result. An unrelated reverse queue also became a source of ridicule for players. IG was intimidated by Principal Wang's live broadcast of eating X without entering the S5, and successfully secured the last S5 spot and returned to the S tournament after 2 years. However, they staged a National Day surrender in the group stage, receiving criticism from thousands of people, and ultimately failed to advance to the group stage. As the hope of the entire LPL village, EDG, the only first MSI champion to make it to the quarter-finals, was shamefully eliminated from the World Cup with a 4.0 clean sheet by FNC from Europe in the knockout stage of the quarter-finals. 2 in the top 16 and 1 in the top 8, LPL fans almost got angry. The traffic of esports is indeed very high, and the capital layout of esports is precisely for this, but in any situation, 2 words cannot be avoided. Score. Without grades, one naturally cannot receive attention, and thus there is no traffic. What kind of return can you get from investing so much money without traffic? End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Trial Training. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Trial Training. The car quickly arrived at its destination. The predecessor of VG Club was in Hangzhou, and its new base has also been relocated to MH district of S City. Lin Yi jumped off the car with Duan Deliang, and what caught his eye were the luxurious three-story villas on both sides, with a pretty good green environment. Startled by the boldness of the wealthy, Lin Yi immediately turned his gaze to the door of the VG Club. It can only be said that it is truly an LPL that can only be played by big bosses. I saw a huge VG team logo hanging horizontally above the villa gate, and a row of small characters below the team logo. VG Esports Club. The entire gate has been modified to a black tone, with a white streamline mixed in, giving it a futuristic and extremely cool look. A few people entered through the gate, and Lin Yi looked left and right as if he had never seen the market before. This is still his first time seeing an internal esports club. Duan Deliang was not surprised by this either. When he first arrived, he was not much better than Lin Yi. The current training room of the first team is in the room on the left. Duan Deliang pointed in one direction. Usually, the team members eat in this small kitchen on the right. The accommodation is on the second floor. Speaking, Duan Deliang led Lin Yi into the training room. As soon as the door opened, several gazes cast over. The three of them walked towards a middle-aged man, who was thin and tall, looking gentle and courteous. "Hello, is that Lin Yi?" The man walked up to Lin Yi and greeted him first. "This is our manager Gao Jun," Duan Deliang introduced to Lin Yi. "Hello manager," Lin Yi smiled. Upon hearing this, Gao Jun nodded and then turned his gaze to Lin Zhongqiang beside Lin Yi, saying, "It must be Lin Yi's father, hello." Lin Zhongqiang responded politely and shook hands with Gao Jun. "Let's take a seat in the rest area next to us for a while. Our boss is currently on his way to the base, and today he came specifically to watch the battle," Gao Jun said as he glanced at Lin Zhongqiang from time to time, with a deep meaning in his eyes. He led the two of them to the sofa next to him and said, "We will schedule a training match with our brother team LGD later, and we can have Lin Yi try it out." The layout of the training room is very simple, divided into two areas in total. On the left side of the entrance is the rest area, with several sofas arranged in sequence, and a tea table in the middle. On the right is the training area, with 5 long tables arranged side by side. Apart from the training computer, there are some personal belongings of the contestants on the table. And not far behind the contestant seat, there is a small round table with a super large monitor standing on it, which looks like it has a size of about 32 inches. Above the walls of the training area, there is also a huge VG team logo embedded, which looks very imposing. Below the team logo is a screen similar to a movie theater, presumably a tool used during the team's review. Then there is a whiteboard hanging in front, filled with Chinese and Korean, mostly recording things related to competition training. 3 people sat down on the sofa, while Gao Jun was still introducing some basic information about the base to Lin Yi. Some words may seem to be said to Lin Yi, but in reality they are meant for Lin Zhongqiang next to him. As a top club manager like VG, his ability to observe words and expressions can be said to have reached a pinnacle, and he can easily see Lin Zhongqiang's unease in his heart. However, this is also normal. After all, at the age when their own children are only capable of reaching adulthood, leaving them to wander alone in a city as big as Shanghai, no parents in the world can rest assured. He has experienced many such scenes and has long learned how to soothe such psychology. Before long, the door to the training room was opened again. The newcomer is dressed in a suit and leather shoes, with an extraordinary temperament. At first glance, he is always in a high position, exuding an aura of a superior from top to bottom. As soon as he entered the door, Gao Jun immediately stood up and welcomed him. Lin Yi also stood up with Lin Zhongqiang. Seeing the anxious and flustered appearance of the manager, it was likely that this was Ding Jun, the current boss of VG. I saw Gao Jun whispering a few words to Ding Jun's side, and then seeing the VG leader nodding his head, he walked towards Lin Yi with full strides. After a brief greeting, I nodded to indicate that I could start the trial training. A few people walked towards the position of a team member together. Seeing the boss coming, the team members all stood up and said hello. Lin Yi also took this opportunity to introduce himself to everyone. Due to being the first to say hello, the few people's computer screens are currently not playing games, but are each practicing in their own custom rooms. Everyone, please stop for a moment. We will start the training competition immediately. Gao Jun increased his volume to ensure that everyone could hear him speaking. Today we are going to test the AD position. Then he turned his head to look at the chubby man sitting on the small table in the center of the training area and said, "Redmi, guide them to start." After listening to the translator beside him, Hongmi stood up and said, "Then let's create a room and contact LGD." Then his gaze fell on Lin Yi and he took the initiative to speak in broken Chinese. "Hello, I'm the head coach of VG. Just call me Redmi." Upon hearing this, Lin Yi also nodded at him and said, "Hello coach." Then he sat next to Duan Deliang at the arrangement of Gao Jun. First, Lin Yi took out the keyboard and mouse from his backpack and plugged them into the USB port. While the computer was not yet started, Lin Yi glanced at the VG team member on his side. The most familiar ones are the S4 champion Dandy in the wild and the S5 champion Easy Hoon in the singles. These two men have their own unique skins in the field of League of Legends. To be honest, Lin Yi never expected to become a teammate with them one day. This is the world champion. How many professional players dream of goals? Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Lin Yi quickly logged onto the match jersey account that the club had just handed him. Usually, training matches for major teams are conducted through competition uniforms, as they use a game server specifically set up by Tencent, which has very low latency and can better unleash everyone's potential. How about playing Imp later? Are you under any pressure? Next to him, Duan Deliang had already become familiar with Lin Yi, so he also started joking. LGD's ADC player Imp, who was also Dandy's former S4 teammate, won the 2014 Global Finals Championship with him that year. Owner of Mouse Champion skin. A few days ago, I played Uzi, and today I played Imp. Lin Yi shook his head and smiled bitterly. In just a few days, I fought against 2 world-class AD. Haha, it's a small joke, just get used to it. Everyone is LPL. If you succeed in your trial today, you will have more opportunities to deal with them in the future. Duan Deliang patted his shoulder. But today is different from Uzi that day. Although the training intensity is not comparable to regular matches, it is not a match that can be compared to a qualifying match. Upon hearing this, Lin Yi also nodded slightly, indicating that he understood. The client pops up a custom team invitation from Duan Deliang. Lin Yi entered the room, and the other 9 contestants were already in position. The original AD player Endless was taken down by him, and the account he used at this time was the observation account used by VG's regular coaches. However, the content of the competition server account is the same, all of which are full heroes and skins, with only different names. Looking at the familiar names of professional players such as LGD, Marin, LGD, Godv, LGD, Imp, etc. in the room, Lin Yi felt as if his blood was boiling all over him. He really longed for this day for a long time. But when this day truly arrived, it was different from the imagined scene. He thought he would be very nervous, but in reality, his heart was extremely calm, only his mind was a bit excited. He is not sure if he is the so-called big competition player in Legend, because today's competition is just an ordinary training match compared to the other 9 people in the room, and it is considered one of the most important competitions in his life compared to him currently. Played well and officially entered the ranks of professional players, and debuted in top leagues like LPL. If you can't play well, you'll have to accept your father's arrangement and go home to study with peace of mind. The game will start soon. Do you have any AD you want to play with? Redmi approached Lin Yi and placed his right hand on his shoulder, worried that he might be too nervous. He added, don't worry too much about winning or losing this training match. Today, I will mainly focus on your matchmaking skills and the level of cooperation between you and your teammates. Lin Yi nodded to understand and said, I can do any AD except for Draven. Then let's take Lucian first. Redmi didn't pay much attention to Lin Yi not knowing the hero Draven. After all, there are many professional players who don't know him. And it's already difficult for Draven to make it to the professional stage. First, help this newcomer win the highly competitive AD Lucian in this version, which can also be considered as an opportunity for him to showcase himself. Redmi is very interested in people who are personally recommended by internal assistant players. Duan Deliang's vision is very high, and he is very clear about it. They all say that UZI's selection of assistants is extremely strict, but he thinks that his own assistant selection of AD is not much worse than it. VG's ordering ID is long, full name Zhu Xiaolong. After hearing the translation, find the hero and lock it directly. LGD is a powerful combination of Revenge Spear and Bullhead. It's really tough, it's really giving face. Duan Deliang, who was sitting next to Lin Yi, couldn't help but mutter, I know someone came to try out and deliberately came to mess with you. It's okay, but I was quite surprised that Imp would choose skates, Lin Yi chuckled lightly. Do you think I should shine on Iron Man later? Upon hearing this, Duan Deliang didn't react at first, but then suddenly remembered something and couldn't help but laugh, Turtle, you still have a mentality. When it came to Lin Yi's selection, he ultimately did not reveal that hero. He came here for trial training, and he doesn't want to attract hatred from the opponent at the beginning. The AD position has average combat power in the early stages, and if the opponent is forced to target him crazily, it will not be worth the loss. The lineup was quickly determined. Blue Square VG. Top single Titan, battling Wild Panther Girl, middle lane Lisongzuo, bottom lane Lucian plus Bloom. Red Square LGD. Up single Big Tree, shooting Wild Male Spear, middle single Desert Emperor, down road Revenge Spear plus Bullhead. The team members exchange heroes with each other and wait for the game to begin. Before officially entering the game, Lin Yi adjusted his talents. S6 Lucian is naturally war.torn, and after each skill is used up, it will enable the next round of regular attacks to hit 2 equal rounds. It can be said that there is no hero in the entire league who is more suitable for this talent than him. The rune selection is simpler. Red 9 fixed attacks, yellow 9 fixed armor, blue 5 fixed magic resistances and 4 attack speeds, and big essence 3 attack speeds. This set of runes can be applied to almost all AD templates, and Lin Yi has been using it all along, so it is easy to match without any sense of stagnation. The game will soon enter the loading interface. And Lin Yi's first training match in life has officially begun. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Terrorist reactions shocking everyone. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Terrorist reactions shocking everyone. 5 heroes appeared in the Blue Square spring water. Lin Yi controlled Lu Zian, quickly purchasing outdoor gear in the store and preparing to walk towards the wilderness. Duan Deliang saw his movements and reminded him, I forgot to tell you that we don't play first-level teams in training matches. Guiding his teammates to form a snake formation, he is both the assistant and commander of the team. A first-level team is a small routine that naturally needs to be hidden. If it is used in training matches, it will lose its meaning. It will have no effect in the main match. Moreover, if both sides of the first-level team experience an outbreak of headcount, once either side's economy is pulled apart or summoners' skills are exchanged too much, they may start the next round of AG before starting the battle. Listening to Duan Deliang's explanation, Lin Yi, as a pure and cute newcomer, understood the reason. We'll make a stone man later and then go online. The current version of the competition server still uses the spring competition version. Those who have watched the competition know that this version will eat a stone man or toad at level 1 and then go online, which can quickly grab 2. Training matches are definitely not about changing lines, so after Lin Yi finished playing with Stone Man and Duan, Deliang, Imp and PYL also quickly stepped up. Both sides have a very strong combination in their downturns, and when they go online, they go crazy with soldiers. Lin Yi is even more meticulous, taking advantage of the insufficient attack speed of the skateboard shoes. While Imp replenishes melee soldiers, he predicts the landing point and connects the third melee soldier with Callista to Q. While consuming a portion of IMP health, he pushed forward and grabbed 2 bullets in his hand, attempting to confront A. Both sides of the auxiliary level are learned Q. skills, and currently they have no combat power, so they can only watch from the sidelines. Ashiba watched as the translucent holy light knocked off a small section of his health bar. IMP let out a sigh of regret and saw that Lucian still wanted to use passive ping A to consume himself. Even though he was very unhappy in his heart, he could only withdraw from it. His chosen talent is Thunder, which is also the mainstream choice in the current version of Callista. However, he cannot withstand Lucian's passive double draw and forcefully strike Thunder to consume it. After all, the opponent is not a fool. After exchanging draw A, he naturally needs to step back and pull the minion's hatred. If he wants A to play the second time, he must jump forward. His current position is very awkward, behind the red ranged minion. However, if he jumps forward and consumes energy, his body will not be protected by the minion. If he is passively slowed down by Bloom Q, he will have to use summoner skills at level 1, which is not worth the loss. Helpless, he had to temporarily avoid the sharpness. However, Lin Yi saw that A couldn't find the skateboard shoes, so he launched a passive 2-round flat A attack on the long-range soldiers in the back row. Due to defeating wild monsters at level 1, only 5 soldiers can grab 2 on the way down. With the advantage just now, the blue side must have reached level 2 first. IMP and Aya Hirano also understand this principle, so they tend to move relatively backward. You played well, Xiaoyi, Duan Deliang couldn't help but praise. The recent battle was completely a game between the 2 ADs, and even the assistants couldn't get in the way. They were able to take the lead in the next round, so it can be said that it was all thanks to Lin Yi. It seems that you are very good at skateboarding when playing any AD. A few days ago, you were also playing Uzi, and he probably was judged numb by you. Redmi, standing behind him, witnessed Lucian's operation throughout and nodded in satisfaction. It's just a stroke of luck. Lin Yi humbly stepped forward and pressed forward. He was only 1 soldier away from reaching 2, and the first ranged soldier from the red side was not dead yet. Coupled with his current position at the back, he naturally wouldn't miss such a good opportunity to suppress. Nyoto level 1 is a super soldier and poses no threat to him at all. Lu Zian walked straight forward, breaking the quadrilateral position first. Duan Deliang was very clear about his intentions and did not follow him. He just stood quietly next to the 5th ranged soldier, giving pressure. Once IMP dared to make any moves, he immediately raised his hand and promoted the A. soldier to 2. Lin Yi pressed hard step by step and forcefully pushed the 2 red Fong people out of the experience zone. I can't play on the road anymore, come and help me in the wilderness. IMP felt uncomfortable under pressure and had to seek help from his teammates. Wild King Aimi had just finished brushing the 2 sets of wild monsters in the upper half of the zone, and he was a little surprised when he heard his own words about going down the road. It's only a few minutes and I can't play anymore. He is most aware of the strength of IMP plus Aya Hirano. Usually, they only have the advantage over others, let alone the strong combination of Callista plus Bullhead. Is this newcomer across the street AD so fierce? I cut the screen and glanced at the weapon line, but surprisingly, it has already been pushed out of the experience zone. Therefore, he had to temporarily change his jungle route, from F4 to leveling up the blue buff in the lower half of the zone by 3, and then head down. You control the line outside the tower, don't let the second wave line on the opposite side push all the way into the tower. I can come at level 3. They will die at that position. The male gun was directing while rushing, and his idea was very correct. As long as the second wave of red soldiers could retain a few positions to block the line of fire and prevent the blue side from advancing under the tower, waiting for the next wave of artillery lines to be in place, it would be extremely difficult for Lucian and Bloom to handle the line of fire. At that time, if he went down again, even if he couldn't catch anyone, as long as he forced the blue duo on the opposite side back home, the situation on the down road would inevitably be reversed in 2 levels. There were 2 full lines of troops and 1 artillery car was stuck. Who knows how much Lucian would lose if he returned to the line again, it would be equivalent to crossing the line. Moreover, they have a bullhead down the road, so it's really easy to cooperate with the jungle. In Amy's eyes, Lucian and Bloom were already 2 corpses. What if you are fierce against the line? After all, you are still too young. The canyon is not about fighting and killing, but about being worldly wise. Do you understand? However, most experts only have 2 ways to deal with such situations. One is to call themselves in the wilderness to untie the line, and the other is to forcefully use their lives to push the military line in. IMP and his team also understood the meaning of the Wild King. The second wave of troops soon arrived, and Callista followed the bullhead and finally dared to move forward to gain some experience. Although I still dare not make up for it, I can at least advance to level 2 so that I can cooperate with the jungle later. Something's wrong. The skateboard shoes didn't even fight back when you hit them twice, but were still in the A. line. This is not imp style. Duan Deliang frowned, his tone mixed with suspicion. He's stuck in the line. I reckon the male gun will come soon. Dandy, can you come back and squat? This line is getting stuck. At this time, Leopard Girl was still cleaning up the last group of wild monsters F4 in the lower half of the area, but it was very close to the next road. When she heard her own assistance for help, she immediately agreed to come down. Lin Yi also saw the other party's intention at this moment, pondered for a moment, and then spoke up, no need, this wave can be 2v3 on the way down. Dandy, you can stagger with the male gun and go first in their blue area to counter the wild. If the male gun moves at 3 speeds, he will definitely not have time to wipe out all the wild monsters. Everyone in the microphone was a bit surprised when they heard Lin Yi's words. Can 2v3 be achieved with a second level down road? To be honest, this is a bit beyond their understanding. There was also a hint of surprise in Redmi's eyes, but it was soon replaced by a strong interest. Brother Duan, do you believe me? Lin Yi didn't care about what they were thinking at the moment. He spoke again, his tone full of confidence. Later, I will deliberately distance the cow's head. You can stay a little further away, but to be more serious, you can go to the river grass to have an eye. At a critical moment, the execution power of the top team was evident, and even if Duan Deliang was skeptical at this moment, he chose to temporarily trust Lin Yi's judgment and control Bloom's position under the river grass cloth. Bloom has set up a defense Jan Ki in this position. Aya Hirano spoke at lightning speed, ping the grass in the river. It seems that Leopard Woman should have brushed it up, they don't know our plan. Lin Yi doesn't know the communication content in LGD voice, but since he already knows that you're coming to catch him in the wild, why don't I take advantage of him and jump a few crazy jumps on your face first? Lucian's movements suddenly became extremely radical, and his Q skill, Translucent Holy Light, seemed to be used as a flower by him, using various angles to consume the health lines of Callista and Bullhead. Hirano Aya couldn't help but want to connect with him twice several times, but she stubbornly resisted. If it's okay, let you be arrogant for a while longer. I can bear it. At 2 minutes and 45 seconds, the artillery line finally converged in front of the red square tower as desired, and everything seemed to be following Amy's script. At this point, the health of the skateboard shoes is only half, and the cowhide is rough and thick, but only 2/3 is left. On the other hand, on the blue side, Bloom is still full of health, and Lucian has only lost a small grid of health. His condition is still extremely healthy. Lin Yi will pull and pull to the extreme, frequently using his predictive ability to predict the timing of IMP's general attack on him, and then taking countermeasures. Get ready to take action. The male gun finished brushing the blue buff and was now walking down the road. Aya Hirano, seeing her family's battle in place, suppressed her anger and instantly erupted. Bang! The cow's head lifted its hands and hammered towards the ground, and a golden light flashed over its body. When its figure reappeared, it had already arrived at Lucian's side. In order to prevent Lin Yi from evading his second platoon control, Aya Hirano decided to use the extremely difficult Q flash to dodge through reaction. Little brat, you can't die. I like A, right? What surprised him was that Lin Yi's reaction exceeded his imagination, almost as he raised his Q skill while Lucian simultaneously handed over his E skill slide. How fast does Nyoto's Q flash? As one of the most difficult operations for the entire alliance to avoid through reaction, the essence of this operation is to complete it within milliseconds. It can be responsibly said that there should be no one in the whole world who can dodge the bullhead Q flash purely through reaction. After all, even if your brain reacts, you still need to press the skill with your fingers to dodge. Only a few have successfully avoided the bullhead Q flash in history, and most successful operations carry some degree of foresight. An operation that is difficult to complete even with flash, Lin Yi can easily dodge with just Lucian's slide. Hirano Aya controlled the cow's head and saw a flash of herself pounding the air. She immediately opened her mouth wide and said, "Wary, what is this?" The scene before him refreshed his understanding of this game. It is indeed a knowledge blind spot. On the other side, Duan Deliang saw this shocking scene and ignored praise. With a quick reaction, he immediately unleashed his Q skill, Bite of Winter. Target the bull's head. Under precise hit, use deceleration to ignite and hang. Lin Yi operates extremely quickly, and after using the E skill, he swings two passive attacks without any pause. In the second method, when A has not yet hit the target, the Q skill, Translucent Holy Light, is used, and then the skill's backsway is cancelled by smoothly tapping the floor. Two more general attacks hit the bull's head. The sound of miso triggered Bloom's passivity, and Aya Hirano was pinned in place. IMP reluctantly handed over the treatment to save his own side's assistance, but with the ignition effect, the health of the bull's head only increased by a small grid. Lucian and Bloom continued to level the bull's head and waited until the third round of attack, giving birth to 1 health. First blood. Lin Yi obtained the human head, and by this time he had chased after Bloom to the bottom of the enemy tower, at the extreme distance of the defense tower's attack range. Skateboarding shoes have already begun to take action. Lucian has already fired 2 spears. At this point, the male spear had already arrived with a horse, and the E skill was approaching Lucian, making a general attack. Fortunately, after killing the bull head, the two of them advanced to level 3. Bloom raised his shield to block between IMP and Lin Yi, and his spear kept falling on the shield without causing any damage to Lucian. The two fought and retreated, while Lin Yi constantly exchanged attacks with Imi. 2 bullets from the male gun were fired, and while changing the bullets, the W skill, Smoke Bullet, wanted to block Lin Yi's field of view, and then the Q skill, End of the Road, aimed at Lucian and swung it, wanting to rely on the wall to instantly hit 2 pieces of damage. Bang! Lin Yi handed over a flash, and as he was slowed down by the red buff, he couldn't avoid this Q by walking. Duan Deliang also followed suit, but he flashed to the side of the male gun and gave him a general attack, putting him in a passive position. Then, W, stepped forward, returned to Lucian's side. Bloom stood between the male spear and Lin Yi, trying to use his body to block Lucian's general attack output. Lin Yi just handed over the W, passionate and fierce bullet, with a flat A point on the male gun body, instantly attaching 3 passive layers. Imi felt something was wrong when he saw these 2 people killing and upgrading to 3. Immediately, his Q skill was dodged by a flash. If he were to be passively pinned by Bloom now, Lucian, who also had a large amount of health and skills about to CD, might also take his life away. Helpless, he had to surrender the flash to widen the distance. IMP dare not pursue anymore. Lucian's treatment has not been handed over yet, and the power of Bloom's small-scale team battle is really too strong. Anyone who gets hit by his Q will have to dodge. Although I don't want to admit it, IMP knows that they have indeed been showcased in this wave. The next battle has come to an end. Lin Yi and Duan Deliang pushed their troops under the enemy tower and then directly returned to the city in the grass. Have a great time, brothers. Dandy was happily finishing the 3 wolves in the lower half of the blue square, crouching in the grass of the blue buff, waiting for the male gun to come and brush the toad. Just now, he witnessed the entire battle on the road and was amazed to see his own duo start 2v3 in just 3 minutes. Especially the new AD young general who relied on his E skill to dodge the bull head Q, he exclaimed in his heart that he was lying down. Originally, he only regarded Lin Yi's statement of being able to play 2 or 3 as a joke, deliberately refusing to listen to commands and supporting the newcomers, trying to boost their morale and make them understand what the truth is, that there are people outside of us and there is a heaven outside of us. As a result, his gaze towards Lin Yi now flickered like a hungry hunter seeing delicious food. Mad. I found treasure this time. This child must never be placed back in LCK. As a former Samsung champion in the S4, his morale can be said to be high. However, the wasted time in the early stages of S5 and S6 forced him to re-examine himself. Is it true that he is old? His pride did not allow him to just fall into such depravity. The first reason he came to LPL was for money, which is undeniable, but also understandable. Shouldn't people with strength earn more? But he is not the kind of person who takes money and doesn't do anything. In the past 2 years, he has also been trying his best to drag the team forward, but with version changes and issues with team personnel configuration, his performance has always been unsatisfactory. Taking the VG of S6 this time as an example, he thinks he played well in the spring race, but he really can't take it down the road. Helping him is not enough, not helping him will explode. To be honest, his morale is going to be worn away. Fortunately, Lin Yi's joining today gave him a glimmer of hope. Even though the game has only been 3 minutes past now, he has unilaterally recognized this new AD. Red Rice is more and more surprising as you look at it. The newcomer AD was able to not lose to IMP in the training competition at the LPL level, which greatly exceeded his expectations. He had read Lin Yi's information and his ranking record could be said to be ordinary, even a bit bad, but since encountering UZI, it seems like he has undergone a transformation. Even against IMP today, they currently have a great advantage in the matchup period. Upon hearing Dandy's praise, Lin Yi humbly waved his hand and said, "Mainly, it's better for Brother Long and Lord Ho to restrain us. If this wave of medium to high teleportation comes down from the opposite side, it won't be easy to fight." Just before the battle broke out, he specifically asked his upper and middle players to find a way to hold back the LGD middle and upper players, so as not to let them TP to the next lane to persuade them to fight. Lucian, the hero, only had 2 moves in front of him, E skills plus flash, and was able to deal with 3 players with barely enough strength. With a few more players fighting, the result was really hard to say. He thinks the team atmosphere of VG is quite good, and everyone takes good care of him as a newcomer. Hee, I'm hooked. Dandy's gloomy voice suddenly came from the microphone. Lin Yi's gaze shifted to the wild area, and he saw the male gun brushing the toad with half of its blood, and the AEA changing ammunition was extremely smooth. Seeing Imi hand over the gun quickly, Dandy didn't hide either. Suddenly, a spear flew out of the blue buff grass and landed on the half-blooded male gun, instantly turning it into residual blood. Subsequently, the leopard woman transformed into a leopard form, using grass and passive acceleration to approach, and quickly jumped onto the male gun without any displacement. VG, Dandy killed LGD, Imi. Crouching slot. The Wild King was scared out of his wits, didn't Leopard Girl brush it up? How could she be here? Watching the man-gun tragically die in the wilderness, Lin Yi couldn't bear it any longer. Originally, his intention was just to have Dandy defeat two groups of wild monsters and expand the opposing economy. However, he didn't expect that not only would he want to eat wild, but he also wanted to take his head. The heart of playing wild is really dirty. Lin Yi whispered in his heart, but I like it. Wild King could never have imagined that Leopard Woman would be in his lower half of the field at this moment. After all, high segmentation places great emphasis on support speed, let alone this is a professional training competition. You didn't support your teammates just now. Who could have thought of hanging on my blue buff grass like a shady person? Nice, brothers. Long Go, who was repairing his knife on the road, shouted loudly as he looked at the good news coming from the wild areas on and off the map. He felt that this one was already stable. I'm lying down. I'm also waiting to be taken away by you, said the Marquis in the middle, with a serious face that rarely showed a smile. With the rhythm of the red square sending out two waves, the economy was also instantly pulled apart. Upon seeing this, Redmi actually believed that the trial had been passed. The development of the current situation was entirely due to Lin Yi's actions, which opened up the situation. Most importantly, before the red side launched this wave of GNK, he had already anticipated everything that would happen afterwards. Not only does it give oneself an advantage online, but it also drives the wilderness. Now LGD has a disadvantage on the road, with only one player in the wild and two fewer wild monsters. They have completely handed over the initiative to VG. Afterwards, Dandy also fully demonstrated her strength as a champion in the wilderness, relying on her own and the advantage of the next lane to crazily devour the enemy's wilderness, and controlling all neutral resources. Although Lin Yi had a wave of fans standing in the middle of the game and was found an opportunity by the opponent, Redmi felt that the flaws were not hidden. After all, it was already very good to be able to play like this without professional systematic training. He won't let some mistakes in the mid-game affect Lin Yi's evaluation in his heart at all. There are some things that can be taught slowly, and he believes that with Lin Yi's talent, he can quickly fully integrate into the professional arena. He is very confident in his means of cultivating new talents. This game also ushered in a decisive battle in the 20th minute. Although Lin Yi suffered a sudden death in the front, due to his accumulated advantage in the early stages, he ultimately achieved a seamless combo of 3 kills without any bloodshed. Immediately, a message appeared in everyone's chat. AG. This marks the end of Lin Yi's first training match in his life. 6,000 word chapter seeking support. End of this chapter.